I just called the meeting to order. It's been a couple of months, I forgot about how the mic works. All commissioners are present, so if we can please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is citizen comment period. I don't know if we do not have anyone signed up at this time. So we can move right on to business items. Item number 5A, which is approval for minutes of May 11th, Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting. I am sure that all the commissioners read the minutes, and do we have any edits to them? If not, may I have a motion to approve them?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Thank you. So the minutes have been, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor? Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. All right. Item 5B, items applicable to the Planning and Zoning Commission discussed at April-May City Council meetings, including possible updates on FM 2252 sewer project and TxDOT FM 2252 expansion. I'm looking at the wrong thing here. I'm looking at the minutes. But essentially the same thing. And also Mayor Pro Tem meeting with Comal County officials concerning new residential development on Bat Cave Road. Okay, since we did not have a meeting for the last 2 months, what I did was go back to the city council meetings and pulled the Tri-Hydro memorandums for May and July. I did not see, unless the July 7th is for June, I don't know. Right. I do have a May 20th, which would actually be for June. And then, right, and July 7th would be for July, and then July 27th is for August. Okay. But the only thing that I could determine was that the plans for, let's see, TxDOT, the plans for design submitted to the utility coordinator for review, TxDOT, the permits are ready. Is that am I correct on that for the TxDOT project?
The engineers are addressing some TxDOT comments and finalizing the plans for the project at this point.
Okay.
So we can go out for bid in the very near future.
Okay. The only other thing really was, where are we on the Guadalupe Ready mix? As far as, I know that the engineer reviewed the master development plan and he provided comments, but at the meetings that I saw, there weren't very many comments. It was very short. So is there anything to report on that you know of? I mean, I know you were at the August meeting, right? No?
They have not come forward with a variance request nor a special use permit request.
Okay, well, very good. Does anybody else have any comments on Tri-Hydro or their reports? No? Okay. Very good. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Crow, I think you're going to be on deck. Water runoff as it relates to impervious cover. Are you going to report this month? We tabled it at our last meeting.
Yeah, and actually, what I would ask, I guess best way to ask, is that we me and maybe one other commissioner get together and, work out, follow the Edwards Aquifer. That way it's just not one perspective, different ideas of different ways that we can give businesses and residents options if they get close to that 35%. So, there's cities like City of Austin, other cities that actually have procedures like for rain collection and how they, because at the end of the day, it's about water runoff and how they can collect it and they're going to get a certain amount of credit based off of that. I think if, me, a fellow commissioner can, if it's approved, can get together and have like a work study group, then we can come back and propose it. So that way, at the end, the big picture of it is make Garden Ridge more user-friendly by giving options. And also at the end of the day, with businesses, making sure they understand, hey, you want this big of a parking spot, but if you do these few things, instead of just saying no, you can't do it because you're going to exceed whatever percentage, it's going to be more inclined to say yes, as long as you meet these other requirements. And it's going to create more of a, hey, we're here to help, not here to deter, if that makes sense.
So what I'm hearing you say is that what you're planning would actually be used more by city council, not planning and zoning, because if they were needing a variance for a project that had impervious cover beyond what's currently in the chart, they would present that to city council.
Correct. But as planning and zoning commissioners, our job, of course, is to research the ordinance and what have you. And so I guess the way I interpret it is through our research, understanding the ordinance, there's what would stop us to actually help city council and help the city by doing the research within our purview, which is planning and zoning.
Cynthia?
There we go.
There you go.
Well, now I'll just make the whole thing fall over. So I'll stop now and just hold it. So it's for the good of us all. So the Planning and Zoning Commission, y'all have the ability to authorize a technical committee. So if that's something that y'all as a board want to say, yes, we would like to see some research, we would like to see what that looks like. It seems like we have one volunteer for the technical. Of course, we can't have more than two. And so certainly they could research and bring those things back and maybe just provide information on, are there options? What do those options look like? How do other cities implement that? And it may be, something that's complementary and works, or maybe it doesn't. But, certainly a technical committee can be done.
So could the technical committee, after doing the research, present it to the commission as to the number of options they might have found, but then would we pass that information on to council for their use in?
So the answer would be yes. If it comes back and let's say it is something that P&Z would like to see incorporated into the proposed agenda, my suggestion would be if it is something, rather than change up all the numbering and all the everything, it would be added as a form of some sort of appendices, to what we have proposed.
Okay. For example, one of the things that you may already know about is that, because we're talking impervious cover here for possible parking areas and all. Well, there is also, it's more expensive, but there's also pervious cover where a parking lot could be laid out that's not impervious, that the rainwater would then soak into the ground and all that. So that's one option, I'm thinking.
Exactly, and that's what this whole thing is. And so we're gonna, if we do come up with a technical committee, it would be to look not just businesses, but there's a whole book on keeping compliant with the Edwards Aquifer, which includes pervious concrete, what have you, that, because there's a certain percentage that it allows, that it's going to allow the rain to go catch, because at the end of the day, it's about watershed, but also for our residents. So what can they do if they want to build or, do anything else that, hey, yes, but here are some other things. So it kind of makes it more, what's the best way to put it? It's not an automatic no, but there are things that you have to do that I think will bring value amongst the business owners that are wanting to come in, city council, and also the residents of Garden Ridge as a whole, to be part of a community, because at the end of the day, it's about compliance with the Edwards Aquifer. And, if there's options to stay compliant, people are probably more likely, I'm spitballing here, but people are probably more likely to be compliant if there's options to be compliant than ask for forgiveness.
I don't think we're into asking for forgiveness, but I think it comes down to variance, or redesign of a project. But my next question, and I hear what you're saying, and I think that's a good idea, but the way it is stated on the agenda, is this the time where we look at possibly commissioning a technical group or see if we have any volunteers to work with Commissioner Crowe?
Yes, ma'am, because we've got it listed as activities and projects, so this can be, an assigned project.
Okay. So, having said that and having heard what Commissioner Crowe is suggesting, do we have any volunteers that might want to work on this project?
I think before we go down this road, we need to have someone tell us that we aren't looking at confusing movement with accomplishment, because we could spend a whole bunch of time doing something like this and the city council says, nope, we don't want to do that. And wow.
Yes, sir.
I was like, amen to that.
Karen, can I add something? So I think that this endeavor could have value added. And one of your endeavors as a commission is to educate not just the council and do the research for the council and do the hard work, but to educate our citizens, residents, and people coming into the community that want to build. So impervious cover, based on what's going on, what's been happening the last 6 months with impervious cover, I think that's going to be a trend that's going to continue in the future. And the more education that we have as a commission, as a council, and as a city on the different options of pervious cover as opposed to impervious cover, the better off we're all going to be. So I would love to have a technical committee to research this and come up with some recommendations or just an educational briefing, and then you could present that to council with your monthly update once you guys are ready to go with this. And that goes public, and we give people options, because I think this is not an issue that's going to go away. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
I think it's a noble idea, and I think it's a very good idea. I think it'd be wise to continue to further discuss, to come up with maybe different options or what the objectives would be. I'm not so sure if it's, it sounds like it may be targeted or potentially targeted towards more commercial, or is it residential? Backing up a little bit, part of a city council meeting, attended as a civilian that it was brought up for variance, someone was seeking variance for a pool, and they wanted.
No, a pool and then some.
So they were seeking variance on the impervious cover, and there was a suggestion provided, I believe, by one of the council members on basically breaking up their driveway and making it a more pervious type driveway, which I think is a fantastic idea. I have interest in, the topic that you're discussing. I think it'd be good to maybe give some time to digest, okay, what will this entail? What are the objectives, and then maybe figure out who might be the best folks to put forward, who has expertise in this area. I can certainly dig in the ordinance and such, but who has expertise in this area might be best to have on that committee.
Okay, so we're wasting time because we've already had Michael say, we want a technical committee and we can only have one other person. And I really think, looking at everyone here, I don't know that anyone has expertise. I think it's the interest and the time and the devotion to try to, you kind of make up your own objective, which the objective overall is what else is out there that we can use as opposed to impervious cover? Okay, so you have the latitude, actually, to then set the goals and see how much information. I'm sure you've already done a lot of digging and have quite a few ideas. And I think the reason you want a technical committee, if you will, or another person to join you is because you want to be able to bounce it off someone else, what you've already determined or found. Okay? I mean, am I kind of correct?
It is a little bit of that, absolutely. But at the same token, two sets of eyes, and understanding, and that's the biggest thing. Because the way I interpret things is going to be totally different than the other way somebody else can interpret it. So when we come together, the committee, and we present it, create a presentation, we're asking those critical questions to ourselves before we even do anything. So that way it kind of moves forward and not just stagnant.
So I look at this as the technical committee we had in place for when we were working on the draft ordinance. That group was the best as far as looking at, what had already been put out in a draft format, and then it was going sometimes page by page to say, is that really what we meant? And so it gives you the opportunity to discuss and to look at other options before, we say, okay, the draft is ready. It's kind of the same thing I'm thinking for this technical committee to say, it's pretty wide open, really. You can come up with the data that you've found, and once you feel you've got it ready for prime time, if you will, I would imagine then it could be presented to planning and zoning, right? And then we could hear and maybe ask questions and say, oh, maybe there's another option or something. But so it is really wide open, to come up with thoughts and ideas and that would eventually be presented to planning and zoning. And then, as the mayor said, I would then take it to city council and say, this is what our technical committee has determined could be useful. Instead of a yes or no for impervious cover, there could be other options that council may want to put forth. So I think it's a great idea, and do I hear that you would like to be on the technical committee?
I would certainly.
I'm not twisting your arm.
No, I would certainly enjoy working with Commissioner Crowe, and that would also, invite opportunity to talk outside of the meeting to dive deeper into this topic. So I certainly would be interested in it.
And see, and from what I've determined just in the few months that we've met and I've known you, you are very good at details, as is Michael. So I think the two of you together could be a good sounding board to kind of put some ideas together, see what you can find, and then ultimately present it to planning and zoning. It's just like, so do I hear that you would like to be on the technical committee?
Yes.
Do we need an approval vote from the council, I mean, from the commission?
Yes, ma'am, so if we could get that in the form of a motion?
Right, right.
I motion that me and Commissioner Bates create a technical committee to further explore options for the impervious cover and come up with potential options for city, or for residents or businesses as they come in.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, so the motion has been made and seconded to institute a technical committee with, between Michael Crow and Darren Bates, Commissioner Bates, to review options that go beyond just impervious cover, or to, other options that would reduce impervious cover. Thank you. Yeah. Right. All in favor? Very good. It passes unanimously. Well, thank you. So you really just didn't want to make a presentation. You just wanted to throw this out here. Okay, very good. We got that on the dais there. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate all the work I know you've already done on this.
I've done quite a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
If I may, I'm wondering, has anybody looked at this before? In the years past, we just celebrated our 50th anniversary. I can't believe that somebody hasn't looked at something like this in the last 50 years. And if not, then we proceed or revisit the things they did come up with. And number two, knowing the participants in the Water Commission, I can't believe that under the aspect of conservation, they haven't looked at something like that also. Has it come up before?
I can't speak for the full 50 years, but I can speak that the last 20 years, it has not gone into a study of looking at options.
And I would imagine that even in the last 20 years, a lot of things have changed. A lot of new, options are out there that I don't think anybody's really delved into. And so, good question, but I think we're good on this.
Chair, I have a question.
Sure.
So as far as the technical committee is concerned and the subject matter and digging into ordinance and all, and then relating that to Texas open meetings and the rules there, are we allowed to discuss with other commissioners ideas and such? So it's basically the two of us on the technical committee, and
That's it.
that is it
Right.
otherwise? Okay.
Yes, that's
Interesting.
it. Only the two of you can meet outside of, and then y'all can come forth and present to the entire council.
Right, to the
Okay.
whole commission.
Excuse me,
And-
commission, yes.
Right. So
Thanks
that's
for
why I
that.
was saying, you guys can put it together, bounce ideas off each other, and then when you're ready, you present it to the commission, and then we have the opportunity to ask questions or throw out other ideas and all before we are ready to present it to city council. It's really a good way to get additional ideas. I mean, I can't say enough about the technical committee we had before. And again, you have the option for taking your time or meeting when you guys can, setting up your meeting. They could probably even have a meeting here at city council, right? I mean, at city council, if there's room, they could sit at a table and nobody's using it, you can set up your meeting anytime that works for the two of you.
I have a patio.
Oh, and he probably has libations to open up the thought process.
Don't reveal too much.
Very good. All right. Thank you both. All right. Moving on to business item 5D, ordinance 210-04-2022, an ordinance of the City Council, City of Garden Ridge, Texas, adopting board and commission policies and procedures, providing a cumulative and saving clause, providing for severability and declaring an effective date. Okay, so we can discuss the expiring terms for me, Commissioner Jockman, and Commissioner Bates, you already. So, how do we do this, Nancy? I don't think I've.
You may want to ask each of the commissioners if they are willing to continue serving.
Yes, and I'll start with Commissioner Bates because your decision is important.
Yes, Ms. Chair. So just getting on the technical committee and being a newbie to the position, would enjoy serving more and absolutely would love to be recommissioned.
Okay,
That's the work.
or apply for extending your appointment on the commission. All right, Commissioner Jockman?
Perfect. Thank you. Use the other one. Yes, I would also like to continue on and be considered to be reappointed on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
One thing I forgot to check is we no longer have limits. Is that correct? Right. Ah, okay. Okay. All right. If that being the case, I too would like to remain on the commission. See how far we can take this. So, having gotten the three current commissioners, having them say, yes, I want to stay on, then I need a motion to accept.
I motion that the planning and zoning, we have to do them individually, don't we? We can do them, Grove? I motion that the Planning and Zoning Commission accept the offer from the three principals to continue and serve another 2-year term on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to submit Commissioner Jockman, Commissioner Bates, and Commissioner Diaz to City Council for consideration of reappointment. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous, so thank you very much. Now, I don't actually see a place for discussion of this. Can we, I mean, what do we do, Nancy?
That was part of the city council update. You can discuss it under that since Councilmember Valdez put it together and he briefed it during a council meeting. I put it in y'all's packet so y'all could see it and you could talk about it under that item.
Okay, so we'd have to back up to 5B.
That's fine.
Okay, so going back to 5B, Commissioner Valdez has been actually, I think you've been working on this for a couple of years now, taking off of what he found on the web for our sister city down the road. And I don't know if you've all had a chance to look at it, or if you were either at City Council in August or watched it online. He briefly went over the current items that are developing, if you will, here in Garden Ridge. The first being Pension Mark, then WMMT Ventures, and then item C, whatever that is, because it's under development. But the map that that is in the packet shows where the three items are to be located. I do believe, based on a question that I asked of the council person, the big thing, because I asked him, what is C? And he goes, I don't know. But the important thing is that I believe for C, there was a change in a change in the zoning from RA to B1. And so C is yet to be, we have no idea what that is going to be, or what that is in
The
somebody's mind.
property owner is, or the developer's is working on a master plan. There's,
Okay,
there's not a master plan submitted
All right.
at this point.
okay, and that's why Commissioner Valdez just went over A and B at city council. But, and so, and they, besides this map where it shows A, B, and C, there's also individual sheets for the three areas. And does anybody have any questions about, we have in previous meetings talked and done some work on pension mark. We presented it to city council and they approved the master plan. And so that's, and here's the picture of what they presented back probably early this year, or it's been a while. Yeah. And then the same thing with WMMT, which is going in off of 2252 Door Lane and back where the tracks are at that. Okay, and that's all we have on that too, because I don't think they've moved forward with anything else?
No, not yet.
Okay. Okay. So having received this from Commissioner Councilperson Valdez, does anyone have any questions? I do know that Dr. Miller, and I don't know if this kind of helps you with a question you had back in May about what's being developed or what's going on in Garden Ridge?
It helps me, but as a matter of fact, I don't like to make work for other people. And now we have this fine collection of documents that I'd like to see continue going forward. Having worked with Councilman Valdez in the past, I know the fine work he does, but I wouldn't put it on his desk to keep this and maintain this going into the future. Who's going to be the keeper of this record? Who do the developers go to? Who in the commission has to keep it up? Or do we discuss it at each
I believe.
I wouldn't do that.
Right, and I think he appreciates that, but I do believe that it was his idea, and it's kind of like one of his projects, okay? And so this is just the beginning, because I know that he has also been delving into this for a number of months prior to even being on council. So if we need to go a different direction, or if we need to come up with a technical committee between Councilman Valdez and a person on P&Z, we can look at that later. But this is excellent, and we really appreciate getting this. He did say that this has been out on the web for a while under the city umbrella, but he did say at the city council meeting that it was in, if anybody wanted to go look at it, it's in the packet for tonight's meeting for planning and zoning. So, does anyone else have any questions regarding this data at this point?
I have a question, not related to the data, but what business item are we discussing?
This is because it was supposed to be under 5B, and I missed it, so we had to go back.
Okay, so it's just those
just
projects
part of
compiled
this.
in this
Right.
presentation? Okay.
Right.
And this is to basically work towards potentially having this continue on the city's website where folks can access?
Yes. Yes, and I do believe that he intends to continue updating it as data become available, right? Okay.
Chair?
Chair.
Say
Yes.
something? So this is basically an interim solution. In the future, we'll be looking more towards a software that helps us with this so that staff would eventually take over but Councilmember Valdez has graciously offered his services to keep it updated for the time being. So it's just a short-term solution for now.
Perfect, thank you.
Will it be available under our drop-down?
It is. It's currently, if you look at your screens right now, when you go to the city website, if you
Okay.
go to Planning and Zoning Commission, on the left where it says what's developing in Garden Ridge, when you click on that, the presentation pulls up.
Chair, I did want to mention, give our thanks to Councilman Valdez for working on this. I know he, when he was on Planning and Zoning, he had put that idea out there, and this is a great start. And like our city secretary mentioned, they're moving forward, hopefully get more streamlined. But this is a great start to show our residents what's going on in our community and what's being proposed.
Well, it's not even just the residents for
Well,
sure.
sure.
But anyone who's looking at Garden Ridge and may want to look at some development on 2252, they can go on the city website and see what's already being, proposed or, kind of on the table right now. And so it's an excellent, like I said, he's been working on it for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's a
So-
great, I'd like to thank him again, and it's a great start.
I have one question real quick. Dewar Lane, for Project B, is that within the city purview as far as responsibility, what have you?
Yes.
I do believe it is, because the city sign for Garden Ridge is just beyond the railroad tracks, right, or somewhere around there. And I remember when this first came to planning and zoning, we had a big discussion with the developer on, you realize how narrow that road is, and et cetera, et cetera. We did have a discussion with them.
And that's the reason why I'm asking, okay?
yeah, it's-
Because, I don't know, probably about 3 months ago, time flies, did a litter pickup.
Did a what? A
Litter, yeah, I picked up 6 bags. And that's just basically going down one side of Dewar to the other. Now a whole
Up
lot
to the
more.
railroad tracks, Mike?
Yeah, and back. And so that was just my only question.
Yeah.
About that road, who's gonna be responsible for, is it the city, is it gonna be the owner? And then how does that fall within planning and zoning if it's,
Nancy?
just questions?
Dewar Lane is in the city limits, from Nacogdoches, or where it intersects Naco Loop on down to the first set of railroad tracks. That is ours. We are responsible for maintenance, cleanup, et cetera. And we try to keep that maintained.
Which was my next question, was in the past, informally, we didn't put a lot of money in that lane to discourage truck traffic. I don't know with a new administration whether or not that's still going to be where we're going, and if this is not where we were going, boy, you guys are making me talk more tonight than I want to.
Nobody's twisting
Well,
your arm.
If it's not where we're
Actually,
going, is it in the budget for this year, next year, or whenever?
actually, I feel like we're exceeding the limits of discussion on this particular agenda item. I'll be glad to talk to you later, Dr. Miller.
I had written down for future agenda items 3 things that I was going to bring it in, but I didn't want to come back to it again.
Well, we are at that juncture right now, future agenda items. So what agenda item would you like to have us put down for future?
The update on the status of Door Lane. How's
Of
that?
Door Lane?
Yes, I have some other ones too.
Okay, that's one.
Okay, the other ones, and I don't mean to take up all the time. Another thing discussed, I thought was very helpful at city council, was the feedback we got from the mayor and the mayor pro tem about the development further down on Bat Cave Road and what the city's plans were in terms of annexation or where we stood with, that was very helpful. And I don't know if all of us were party to what they discussed. So I'd like an update on that, I guess, if we don't discuss it now. And then other
Madam
things-
Chair,
Yes.
if we could reopen 5B, we can talk about that.
Okay, round two, 5B.
So we don't have to have it
Okay.
as a future agenda item. So thank you for your question, Dr. Miller. So in the previous, with 2 months of not meeting here, we've done some interesting strategic initiative work with the city of Garden Ridge, specifically discussing the housing developments that are going on just outside the city off of Bat Cave Road. We met with myself, Nancy, and Lisa Swint, the mayor pro tem, met with Denton Communities, which is a subsidiary of Bitter Blue Industries, who is developing the property just under 500 acres as you're driving down Bat Cave Road, just outside the city limits on the left, going away from the city, called Enchanted Bluff. And we went and met with him to talk to the person that is actually in charge of that development. And it's a it will be a beautiful development. It is minimum 1 acre lots, 1 house per acre. That's the plan going in. I don't see that changing. They are beginning work on it in earnest, and it'll be in 3 phases, and it will increase the traffic count on Bat Cave Road. And we asked Mr. Denton about that, and he agreed to work together as Denton Communities and the city of Garden Ridge to help influence, if we can, Comal County's priority on road development with TxDOT through the Alamo Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, which our council member Valdez is kind of a technical committee member, right? But working on it, so we have our foot in the door to reprioritize Comal County's road initiatives to make 3009 a 4-lane highway all the way from 2252 intersection, where it is now, coming out of Schertz, all the way past Davenport High School, to entice people to get off of Bat Cave Road on Shanethal or go all the way down around Bat Cave Loop to get on 3009 to ease the traffic burden that's going to be on Bat Cave Road. We're not going to have the option to widen it. No one's going to have the money to do that with eminent domain and buying back those properties as a setback, because on Bat Cave Road, a lot of the driveways obviously go to Bat Cave Road, the fence lines go there. That's just not a doable thing. So we are working on that. We are also working, based on some great initiative with Lisa Swint, setting up some good meetings. We had a meeting with Council Member Clayton Perry from the city of San Antonio, District 10, which District 10 is the northeast side of San Antonio, our direct neighbor, about ETJ, extraterritorial jurisdiction, and bringing in, currently Enchanted Bluff falls under the San Antonio ETJ, even though they're in Comal County and not Garden Ridge. So bringing Enchanted Bluff development into the Garden Ridge ETJ. That's separate from annexation, which is a difficult endeavor as a general law city. And we have their support to pursue that with Councilmember Perry, and then working with the City of Garden Ridge staff, our council, and the council, and going forward with them to present that to the city of San Antonio to start those negotiations. What we have going for us in a positive factor is that it's all Comal County. And we will go even a little bit more than just the Enchanted Bluff area for ETJ. We're going to swing for the fence on this. So, and we have their support publicly. So it's one thing to have the support of District 10. It's another thing to have the support of the city of San Antonio. So, but we are starting that process. And that's a good thing, strategic initiative. It's a good thing for the future of Gardner Ridge. Did I answer your question? Yes, sir. Outstanding.
The other two things I had,
Well, okay, so are we moving back to item D, or we're?
anybody else want to go? Two things I had written down. One was, and don't shoot me. Please, Karen, don't shoot me. Where are we with the draft ordinance? Just, number
That-
one,
it's in
that's
city
future-
councils.
Well, future agenda, where are we with it? It's been 4.5 years now. And there's things that we discuss here that I, as a person, like to know what the follow-up things are, or decisions. We send stuff to city council, and they don't agree with us. There's been several things that we've sent to city council that they didn't agree with us on, and have gone into executive session, and I don't know what's discussed back there. Don't need to know what's going to discuss back there, but what is the end result of those discussions? And if we did anything wrong, and is there room for improvement at this level before we send things forward? And some of that's been taken care of, because some of our charter, if you will, has been changed. And I don't know what that was all about. Some of the things that we're doing in the past, we're not doing anymore. And I want to know what that was all about, and when that decision was made, who made that decision? Was it a legal decision, or just somebody grabbed it out of the air and said, hey, let's take that away from them and put it to city council? I'd like to know if I'm making decisions going down the wrong path, so I don't go that same path again. That's all. So I'd like some feedback on that and discussion of that.
Okay, is that the one item that you were talking about for your next agenda?
the
Okay,
draft,
so,
yes.
if I might, I'm going to say what I know that's going on in city council with regard to the draft
Well,
ordinance.
hold on. Yeah, at this point, we just need to have that discussion of what those agenda items will be.
Okay, but does that need to be an agenda item? Because the city council, the draft ordinance is in their
Right, but
lap.
we can't have a discussion on that right now, not
Okay.
even a response to it. So, I mean,
So
that's
can
certainly
we-
a discussion y'all can have offline, but if you want an agenda item, y'all can just, we can place that for next agenda.
Okay, so do you want that to be an agenda item?
I personally don't need it to be an agenda item. I'd just like to have an answer. If it doesn't bother anybody else, then fine, we can just talk offline, and I'll go home, and it won't be a big thing. But
Ms.
if
Chair.
people want the same thing, I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, I'm just, I'm curious about how to handle these future agenda items. Do we need to have a motion in order to put these agenda items on? Just bring them forward, okay.
Again, I say, don't bring it to me. Bring
Well,
it
to the
please,
commission,
yeah.
to the commission. Do you have another item?
I do not.
Okay. So since we're going this way, Commissioner Crowe, do you have anything you'd like to place for future agenda items?
Not for September. I think Commissioner Bates and I may just take a couple months, just make sure we do a really good thorough deep dive also, with impervious cover in our technical committee.
Okay, so you can put that down as future. It doesn't have to be September. Is that correct? No. Okay.
So if you're referring to the item that's already on the agenda, the water runoff as it relates to impervious cover, that's an item that we would just carry on each agenda. And if you don't have anything, if you're not ready next month, you just say, we don't have an update this month.
Okay.
But we'll continue to carry it because it's a project y'all are working on.
Then nothing for me. Thank you.
I don't, I don't have anything for an agenda. I'd like to know why I have yellow flags all over my, front of my house, but other than that, they say gas line.
Yes. Okay. Commissioner Jockman?
I don't have any proposed agenda items.
Okay. And then Commissioner Bates?
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if this should be in a future agenda item, but to adhere to the Texas Open Meetings Act, and then being able to discuss things or bring up things, now doesn't seem to be a proper time, but maybe to discuss having an open discussion time period, maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes, something like that, that if myself or anybody any other commissioner want to bring up something, a topic, that we can have this talk in openness and then figure out maybe how to move forward. What this stems from is my own personal ignorance with the Planning and Zoning Commission and being a commissioner, that when we were handed the concrete batch plant to review, I'm not an expert on concrete batch plants, and it was quite a bit to digest, and I had 5 days, to do it. 2 of those days were a weekend where you can't really do much research and talk to people. And then the other 3 days, if I get the math right, business hours, I'm working. So things like that to discuss, and maybe someone needs a little bit more time. How do we go about handling those kinds of things or those questions come up? Because I could give any one of you a call, but then there's danger that we're talking about things that we ought not to talk about.
So I would suggest that maybe that item be carried on the agenda kind of as a mini training on the go, just kind of so that legal can give you what your parameters are for that type of scenario.
Because that was the situation with that item before.
Right.
It was just what our responsibility was. So, okay.
Okay, so should that be a future agenda item that?
Right,
Ma'am, as
because the issue is that we can't have what I'm going to loosely refer to as open mic. We have to specify each item that is going to be talked about on the dais. So we can't have an open thing where just any topic can come up. So it sounds to me like we need to give you some direction and some on how to approach that, how to get things on the agenda, how to get the information that you might need, and then that way, everybody will have the same set of tools to use going forward.
Okay, that sounds good. Then what I'll do is I'll think about it and maybe post or suggest a future agenda item next time.
We can put an item on the agenda next month to basically make sure everyone's on the same page on what you can do under the Texas Open Meetings Act and how you would handle those situations in the future. We can do that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Commissioner Bates, the only thing suggestion is that we only meet once a month. And so when you put things off, you're putting it off for 2 months almost. So if anything comes to mind, you got to try to bring it up and make it a future agenda item so we can talk about it. Because I know it's bit various ones of us in the butt over time, because by the time you get to it, it's 2 months down the road.
So maybe the future agenda item can be any concerns that commissioners have on the course of actions or current or previous actions of agenda items?
I think that that Cynthia can advise Marissa how to put that on the agenda, that where discussions can be held, or training, if you will, on topics and stuff, so.
Yeah, and it's not so much training that I'm looking for, although that's ideal. What I'm looking for is to if concerns come up, like with the concrete batch plant example, there's a whole lot of things to discuss. There's a whole lot of stuff that I would think many of us wouldn't know. And there were a lot of things that I discovered as I was doing my research about what that entails. So it was somewhat of a rush for me, where I would like to be able to find a way to where we can digest these topics a little bit more.
Yes, Nancy.
We're really moving way out of our parameters for future agenda items with these discussions.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to figure out in his own mind what kind of agenda item. That's why I said between Cynthia and Marissa, they can get it on, they can put it on the agenda where I think it would be helpful. Yeah, because
Okay.
even just doing this is what Nancy's saying is going off topic.
It's going way beyond
Yeah.
what, yeah.
Okay. Very good. All right. Thank you, everyone. The date for our next meeting for Planning and Zoning is September 14th, 6 p.m. here in City Council chambers. And then I just open it up again for any citizens' comments that anyone in the audience would like to speak up on right now. You do not have to sign up. And you have 2 minutes. Nope? All right, then we'll close citizens' comment period. And I am open for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I have a second?
Second.
There's a motion to adjourn with a second. All in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you.